Hello and welcome to the Disc of Truth. I'm Jono.
And I'm James.
And in today's episode, we are going to talk about all things Resident Evil. Now, before I hand it over to our resident Resident Evil expert...
I like that. I'll take that title.
Joe, I like that. I thought of it earlier and I was like, Joe, I'm going to use that. Anyway, before I pass it over to our expert, James, if you do like what we've been doing, please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. Let us know what you think. We're happy to hear from you. But without further ado, I will hand over to our resident zombie killer, James.
So, I actually started the Resident Evil, my love for Resident Evil, quite late actually, and I was thinking about it while we were having a pre-chat. So I played a little bit of the games when I was younger, a little bit of 2, and I think actually there was the main one 2 and then the original. But I actually started watching the films before I really got into the games, which are very, very different. Like the stories don't overlap. It is literally just there are zombies. They're made by the Umbrella Corporation, and that's about it. But I want to talk about the games first. So, if you've not played any of the Resident Evil games, the remakes that have been coming out are absolutely phenomenal. Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 I'd put down as being the games to go to. They look great, they play great, and their stories are actually... I mean, if you care about how close to the originals they are really, really close, but you don't need to have known what's going on originally. They're just really, really good. So I actually went into Resident Evil 3, the Nemesis one first. Have you played that one at all, either the original or the remake?
I've not played them. The only ones I've played, I played 5, 6, 7, and Village. Okay. I've never played the earlier ones.
Right, okay. Well, I'm not a particularly big fan of 5 and 6.
How can you not love punching a boulder?
I was going to say the boulder punching moron, yeah.
Yeah. How can you not love that?
Well, I mean, I'll get to my views on that kind of side of Resident Evil, which I suppose is quite a big side of it, but I'll get to that in a bit. 7 and 8 were really good. I really enjoyed that sort of revamp and going to first person view and taking things a bit further away from the giant T-virus monsters. I quite liked that. But anyway, Jono, 3 is really good, and it's just a really, really simple concept. Jill Valentine's a great character, and the Raccoon City setting's really good. But it's a really, really simple concept. It is literally just, we need to get out the city, there are zombies, and you're being stalked by this bigger monster. It's a really simple concept, done really, really well. And it kind of builds. So Resi 2 is kind of similar. You've got multiple characters, and they've got interweaving storylines. Yeah, you're sort of stalked by the Mr. X character, who's one of the tyrants, which is like the big weapons that Umbrella Corporation have created from this virus that makes zombies. And yeah, you just sort of escape in the city. That's the simplest terms of it, but it's really good. And then when you get into the complicated bits about, I think that's why I don't like the films as much, and I don't like 5 and 6, because they're all really overblown, bloated characters that don't need to exist. Like Wesker's funny, but in this day and age, we don't need a Wesker character, I don't think.
Yeah, it gets really confusing. With it starts off the T virus, then we got the C virus, and we got Los Plagos, and then I think Ouroboros.
That was 5, wasn't it?
That was 5, I think. C virus was 6. What's it called? Mutamycete?
Oh,
the mold.
the megamycete.
Megamycete, the mold.
Yeah.
It gets so confusing with I don't know, because it's weird. Does 7? I mean, they all exist in the same universe, but it just, I don't know. 7 feels really disjointed from, say, 4, because it's a different sort of infection.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, to me, as someone who hasn't played that much Resident Evil, it always felt really strange that there was no continuity between viruses. It's always something that was different. So we had 4 was Las Plagos, if I remember.
Yeah.
Then 5 was, I've forgotten already, Ouroboros. 6 was C virus again, and then 7 goes into mutamide.
Mold, yeah.
What into? Let's just say mold. It's easy to say mold. It's just confusing.
I'll go with that. I think the good thing though about 7 and then Village is because it was you could take away the Resident Evil name or the Biohazard name if you're in Japan or whatever you want to call it, and it would just work. It was its own thing, so it didn't need to do a callback. And I think that's my complaint with a lot of the story, that it's, if we like Resident Evil, we already accept what it is. You don't need to be like, oh, this is this, you've done this before, but this is this that's totally different that does the same thing. The Las Plagos, I think that's fine.
Can we stop there? Can we just say Las Plagos every time, please? Las Plagos.
I have to try and do my least offensive.
Middle
European Spanish accent.
Joe, what? I take it back. Just call it Las Plagos. It's fine. I take it back. I don't want to be rude, so take it back.
Las Plagos.
Las Plagos. Yeah, anyway, carry
on. I think all we needed was 1, 2, 3 was, we've got, it's the T virus, Umbrella are bad, it doesn't matter what they're doing, we've got this virus, that's fine. And then Las Plagos, that's all we needed for 4. You could have done that with 5 as well. I try and pretend 6 doesn't exist, so we just don't worry about that. And the mold.
What? The fuck?
It was not good.
It wasn't a Resi game, but it was fun.
Fair enough.
It was fun. It was stupid. It was fun, and it.
I think my problem is, because I joined the games so late, the perfect formula that you had, because the remake of 2 and 3, and then 7 and 8, and then eventually the remake of 4, they have a very specific gameplay, very specific layouts, and that I really enjoy. It just works for me. So I think going to the other games now just felt really, really weird. So I think I've ruined it for myself. There will be people out there who love Resi 6, and there will be people out there that will be the same, be like, this is not, not what I wanted. I had a friend back in college, and he was obsessed with the games, and he did a playthrough of the original Mansion Resi 1 all the way up to Resi 6, and he was playing the original ones, and we did that over the course of a week or so. And he got to 6, and he was just like, I've played all these other ones, I don't know why this game needs to exist. So even he was just not really on board with it. Yeah, I think
it exists.
It exists
because it is a great game.
Well, you can. Do you know what, Jono? You can love Resi 6 because I love Final Fantasy X too. We've all got something wrong with us.
I love Final Fantasy X too. Don't know what you're talking about, man. Like, 10-2's great. It's got everything you want. It's got costume changes. It's got singing. It's got three female leads. It's got whatever you want. It's great. Now, see, I really don't like horror games. I'm a big wimp when it comes to horror games. So the fact that I ever played a Resi in the first place was shocking. I mean, it did help that I started on 5, which
isn't scary.
Isn't really scary. 6, 6 is an action game.
Yeah.
7 was where they went back to their roots, and I did find that quite scary. I think the first person was a really good idea. Because it does puts you, first person is designed to put you in the shoes of that person.
And that was terrifying.
I would be like, I just remember the first time when you open the door and Mia's crawling up the stairs.
Did you play the beginning hour demo?
I think so. Maybe.
So it was only a slightly
Dude,
augmented
I've
bit.
I played it in VR.
Oh well, then yeah, no, then you'll be fine then. But it was so the beginning hour was basically it was a cut down bit of the Baker house, and it was you played the video bit of going in as the camera crew and looking around the house.
I did play that. Yeah.
So talking about horror games, like I don't like horror games. I'm a wimp as well, and my mates a while back, different group of people, they thought it was funny, so they kept buying horror games and making me play them because they just kept laughing at how much I would shit myself.
My friend did that. We made a YouTube channel about it.
Oh yes, yeah. I think that's the thing is we probably should have done a YouTube channel of it because people like that kind of shit. But we did. They bought Outlast and then the Outlast Whistleblower, and I remember playing those.
God.
And then after Whistleblower, they had me do the beginning hour demo because that's when it came out. And yeah, I remember really, really not enjoying that, and the tension. The first person it worked. Resident Evil, going back to the horror, because back in the 90s, early 90s, playing Resi 2, I remember as a kid being scared by this sort of stuff. You hadn't seen it before. I know you look back and you're like, oh, it's all pixely and blocky, but back then you didn't have anything like that, and the way the cameras had been done hiding things, it was terrifying. And as soon as you get given a gun in modern games and you have more control, it's not as terrifying. Resident 4 Evil 4 is not a scary game. It's survival horror in that way. It's the survival part is, have you got enough bullets to deal with these zombies or these plagued people? It's not scary. It can do jump scares, which I think is quite cheap. But Resi 7
I hate jump scares. They get me every single time, man. Every time. I played through Resi 7 normally, right?
Yeah.
And then I played through it in VR. Oh no. Sorry, let me start that again. I started it in VR.
Okay.
Because I was like, I'm going to play this in VR. And then, after thoroughly shitting myself multiple times, I was like, no, I'm not going to play this in VR, because it really does ramp it up. VR does, on occasion with some games, really does help to elevate the tension, and it's a fantastic addition. It's really cool. I remember I did do all the boss fights in VR. Mainly because I was still doing that YouTube channel at the time, and we did a video about it.
Okay. Well, I think the later parts of the game, where it is a lot of fighting and stuff, I think the VR would be quite cool for that. But yeah, they're definitely at the start, and you're starting to go through the mansion bit, the Baker Mansion, the Baker House, whatever. That would be awful. But I think Capcom knew they were onto a winner, because the special edition VR, didn't that come with a candle that you burnt as well, and it did like the smell of like all the blood and the copper and stuff in all the house, so you had that extra sense.
I don't know, I personally wouldn't advocate for having a candle lit while you're playing VR.
Oh god, no, like logistically it's a terrible thing, and I wonder how many people's houses caught fire from it. But just the fact that it was clearly that immersive that they're like, well, we're going to add smell and just really fuck people up. It says that they were onto a winner. That really, then it was.
It was not cool.
No, it wasn't cool. I say I liked it. I hated every second, and it made me feel like a tiny person, which means it was good.
Yeah, I mean, and then that 7 is where they really went back to their roots with the game, with the horror, and then 8 did a really good job. I really enjoyed 8. I mean, it did get a bit nutty towards the end.
8 had a lot more of the Resident Evil weird flair about it. I didn't think it was particularly scary. The atmosphere and the look was gorgeous.
I'm sorry, but when I was doing the second Lord, or whatever they're called, the one where you're basically hallucinating the entire time.
Oh, the Beneviento Mansion. Okay, all right, okay, that was terrifying.
And then you get chased by a giant fetus. I was like, spoiler alert. I was bricking myself. I mean, I did the trophy to complete it with just using a knife. I did the trophy to complete it under a certain amount of time. I managed to do both, and it didn't matter how many times that I did that mansion. I hated every second of it.
Yeah, I didn't like it either. The first time I did that, and I was playing that through, and my partner was with me, and she was just looking over and laughing at me, being like, "Oh my god, you hate this." I'm like, "I really fucking hate this." But again, that shows how good Resident Evil can be. You take away the guns, take away, your control, as it were, and you've got a really good experience. They do a really good job of that, and they can do it. It is just the fact that they keep going, "Oh, the boulder punching part is part of our heritage." I'm like, no,
it's canon. It is canon.
I get that
it's officially canon. It's officially canon now.
Well, it is because that doesn't Heisenberg? He makes that joke, doesn't he?
Yeah,
yeah.
Yep. He mentions about a boulder punching moron or whatever he calls him.
But the fact that they can make jokes about it at the same time, but also do it, it's like, it's stupid. You've got something good. Like, I'm not having a go about what they've done in the past, because what they did in the past worked well for them. Resident Evil is a huge franchise. It works. There's nothing wrong with that. The issue that you've got, I think, now is that we are in a particular era of games and storytelling, and we expect a lot more now. As consumers, if we're going to spend the money on a game, it needs to be really, really good. And Resident Evil has always had a really good formula that I do just feel sometimes they forget that they can make really good games.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. Like, they just it's essentially it's become more about bioweapons.
Yeah.
Than, going back to the original T-virus. It's just all about bioweapons now. Like,
because it is all about bioweapons, but I think I'm going to go out on a limb and say something for someone who loves Resident Evil, and I'm going to talk about some of the spin-off games really quickly, and if you tell me if you've played them or not. I think there are more bad Resident Evil things they've made than good.
Damn.
So Resident Evil, the very, very, very first one in the mansion, was good at the time, but the revamp was better. They've not done like a really big remake. The revamp was better, but I'm not going to say those were bad purely because you got to start somewhere. Resi 2 and 3 were good. I wasn't a big fan of 4, but that's because I didn't like the direction. 5 wasn't good. 6 wasn't good. 7 was good. 8 was good. 2, 3 remakes were good. 4 remake was good. I would like to say, why the hell have we not had a Code Veronica remake? That was a fucking phenomenal game. I think that was great. Resident Evil Survivor. So they tried to do a Survivor thing, and that was. Do you know anything about the Resident Evil Survivor series?
I know nothing.
Okay, so it was. It's basically it's an on-rail shooter. That's what it is. That was
what?
Yeah, that was really bad. There was a lot of games around that time where they were trying to do that kind of thing with it. But yeah, it went really, really badly. It's I think it's still one of the lowest rated games on IGN, sort of thing. It did really badly. And then, we look at the films as well. We've talked very briefly about it. I think most of those films are bad, especially the last one, and the Netflix series, which I'm just going to go on to.
Oh! I was gonna bring us on to film and TV. So I'm glad you did that. So let's start with the films, because I can talk a bit more about this because I've seen most of them. Fuck me, they're bad.
Yeah, they are really bad.
So, oh my god. So, for a start, are you aware that the director and Mila Jovovich, whatever her name is, are married?
No, I wasn't.
So, that obviously helped cast her. But yeah. So, I mean, the first one was okay.
Yeah, I think that's true for all Resident Evil stuff. The first thing they do is, okay, it's good. You could be better, but you could be a lot worse. I think that was the start of Resident Evil. It was never blowing people away.
Second one was.
I liked it more than the first.
Okay, again. Uh, second one was okay again, and then it all went downhill.
I will
In my
agree.
opinion.
I liked Extinction, which was the third film. So for those, I struggled because the names are all the bloody same. I'm sorry, Resident Evil, and you've got Apocalypse, Extinction, Afterlife, Retribution, and then the final chapter. They don't really. There's nothing discerning about the titles. So Resident Evil, the very very first one, which was in the Hive. Yeah, it was what it was. It was fine. Brilliant soundtrack, I'd like to say. I really enjoyed that. Full of Rammstein and Killswitch Engage. Really enjoyed that. That was pretty good. But that's obviously nothing to do with Resident Evil. But I enjoyed that. Yeah, Apocalypse I thought was better. It wasn't amazing, as you said. Extinction was the one in the desert where they're all in Las Vegas.
Then there's the super zombies.
Yes. I didn't mind Extinction. Again, it wasn't great, but I liked it because it kind of felt like, this is what Mad Max would be with zombies. I kind of liked that. That was fun. And then the rest was shit.
It was just really fucking stupid. Like the whole
which bit?
The whole plot of the whole thing was really fucking stupid. It was like I can't even remember why they wanted. Like, obviously the T virus gets out, and as far as we're aware, that's an accident or whatever. That was an accident, and then they double down and they're like, do you know what? We're gonna turn these zombies into super zombies, and we're gonna make bioweapons out of the zombies. It's like, what? Why? Like, what does that achieve? What does that achieve? The world is already fucked and destroyed because of the zombie virus, right?
Yeah.
So what does making stronger zombies achieve? All these people want to do is stop the virus, right? Why is there all these people against them? It just doesn't make sense to me. It's really dumb.
It is. I think that's the problem that Resident Evil has, and the films have it worse than the games, is that the bad guys are bad just to be bad. So yeah, in Resident Evil you've got like, I mean, I'm not going to condone anything, but all right, you've got people make bioweapons. People, it's a byproduct. If you're looking at trying to create a virus that kills a different virus or whatever, you're going to end up making weapons regardless of you trying to help people or not. That's just life. So, Umbrella, they've got pharmaceutical corporations. In real life, of course, they're going to have a weapons division. I'm pretty sure most people do. And it gets out because of that. The arsehole who decides, I'm being paid to steal this, I'll just release it. And the idea was just to kill everyone in the area, and then it actually gets out. Yeah, that's fine. But then to go, the company, well, they're already out. I suppose we could just sell it to other people. This bit's ruined. We could ruin somewhere else, so we'd make a lot of money from that. Everyone loves a weapon. And I think that was the worst bit of, I want to say, Retribution. The films just sort of looked like they were trying to be cool set pieces. So that all Retribution was basically going, Umbrella wants to sell this weapon, so let's show it what it would do in a simulation of Moscow or New York or a suburban area or that sort of thing, which means you get some really cool footage for the adverts and the trailers where they're like having a fucking gunfight at the Red Square and stuff like that. There wasn't any need, and you're right, it is just, if you start asking why, the overarching bits of the films, there's just not. There's no reason for them. The first film was fine, and they could have just left it, but yeah, they made it mental. And just to show you how, we talked about this before. I don't know if anyone out there has actually watched all of the films, have you noticed in Apocalypse, was it Apocalypse? Yeah, Apocalypse, the second one, they tell you how the virus sort of gets out or who creates it and why and all that sort of thing. And then in the final film, they change how that happens. They show a different scene, and it's, they don't even follow their own canon. Like, that's how bad it is. And that pisses me off. Just stay consistent. If you're going to do something, double down on it. Don't make it shit and wrong.
It's just, it's so dumb.
I think that I think the problem. Yeah, that's the problem with the films. The more I think about them, the more I talk about them, I just rant about how they're not good. That I think they're good to just switch off to. If you've got them in the background, then you want just a zombie film or something that's got a bit of action to it. You don't have to follow. They're fine, and that's there's nothing wrong with that. But if you actually look at it as a good piece of cinema, it's not a good piece of cinema.
I mean, I'm not sure if you're aware of this. I'm about to start chatting shit about someone. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And it is the director of
Okay.
the original Resident Evil film. He actually he directed the first one.
Right.
He didn't direct the second or third, but then he directed the rest of them. Okay. But he wrote every single one, right?
Okay.
But this is also the man who brought us Alien versus Predator.
Oh God. Okay.
And also Monster Hunter, which I don't know if you've seen, is a truly awful film. Okay, I love Monster Hunter. I love the series, the game series, but that film is absolutely horrendous. Anyway, I think you just need to say he wrote and directed Alien versus Predator, and that basically sums it all up.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we're done with those films, then we don't need to talk about them anymore.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about
you've said
them.
it all. I'll be honest, didn't bother doing the research on it purely because the more I think about the films, the less okay I feel. So I think if I'd have looked into that, that could have been a very short segment.
And obviously, he cast his wife in
I
Monster
will
Hunter.
say, I'm not a huge Mila Jovovich fan. I don't have any strong feelings. Like, she does what she does. I think she was fine for Resident Evil because the character didn't need huge emotions. I think she played the character of Alice fine. It was just a blank, stoic sort of thing. I think that was fine. I'm not, there's no Oscar-winning performances by anyone, I think, in any of the films. But, the action sequences were good in some cases. I don't know. I don't have anything good or bad to say. She was in it. I think it would have been worse with other people, but it could have been a lot better with others. But the films were never. I don't think the films were worth it.
I think you probably could have taken her character out completely, right, and still had a decent series. Like, take her, get rid of the first film entirely, right?
Yeah.
And then we just change up Apocalypse to where sort of the T virus is starting, and then maybe we start focused on Leon Kennedy instead.
Okay.
Or so something like that, like, and then you can maybe bring Nemesis in and just do it a little differently. Like, you probably didn't need Alice at all, because at the end of the day, or the only purpose Alice served to be was a superhuman weapon, against
herself,
against the fucking the virus and the monsters.
I suppose that is a weird thing as well when you think you've got Wesker, and then in Apocalypse you've got Jill Valentine and everything as well, and then you've got these characters. You think they actually could have just done the Resi games to a degree. And if you want to talk about strong female characters, Jill Valentine is an amazing character, and the evolution from the original Spencer Mansion Resident Evil 1 through, rising up through the stars ranks and, what she is in 3. She's a far more interesting and better character to run with.
Yeah, I mean, they probably could have done a decent version of the games if they were to go that, but instead they decided to go big blockbuster action. Yeah. And unfortunately, that doesn't always work. So, maybe James, maybe we collaboratively rewrite all of the Resident Evil films, right? Or we do a remake together, and we'll make something better. We'll see.
I think we could.
You heard it here first, folks. It is a stand by for that. We might do it eventually when we get round to it, which will probably be never.
Resident Evil, produced by the Disc of Truth.
Yeah. Oh
I'm
my
on
god,
board. There you go.
it'd be amazing. We're sold. Let's do it.
Fantastic.
Yeah, let's talk about that TV series then.
I was just going to very quickly say, I know they've done some animated TV stuff, which I haven't watched, which I think is closer to the originals. I've heard bad things anyway, apart from the brand new one. So that's the only thing I was going to say. I haven't watched those, so I can't comment. So if they have done it better than the films, cool. And I haven't seen, I just remember they did a new Resident Evil film, didn't they, with the girl who was in the Maze Runner, I think. Can't remember.
Oh,
Maya Shaduk.
Welcome to Raccoon City.
I've not seen that yet. That was on my list to watch after the Netflix one, and then after the Netflix one, I just went, I'm done with Resi for a bit.
Well, when you say new, it came out 2 years ago.
That's new to me.
Just to pre-warn you, Anderson worked as an executive producer on that.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Okay, so because I like the actress, I think she's done some really good things. If it's who I'm thinking of, she was in the Maze Run and she was in the Last Pirates film. I think she's really good. So I'll be disappointed if she's not utilized well in this film. Anyway, yes, but as you were saying, the Netflix one.
Yes. So I haven't seen it. So
are you going?
This is all on. Absolutely not.
Okay, cool, brilliant. So I actually binge watched it, every single episode in one evening.
I bet you enjoyed that.
I got tired. But it obviously had something
of their shit.
Yeah. But it obviously had something to hook me to go, okay, I want to watch the next one. Okay, I want to watch the next one. I think I'm disappointed that they're not going to do another season. But my life is not bad because it isn't. And I'm going to say why. It had a lot of potential. If it wasn't Resident Evil. Because it was going back to the stuff I was complaining about with the other games. Like the huge, massive fucking worm zombie and all the other crazy stuff and the big crocodile zombie and stuff. And you're like, we don't need this. The story in itself was fine. I think it was quite good. It was over the top. It was overblown and ridiculous, but it kind of worked. And the acting in it wasn't too bad. I thought it was fine. It just didn't need to be a Resident Evil. It got hung up on the fact it was Resident Evil. So I think if they'd have sold it on, this is just a really good zombie program, they could have done a good job. But they had to make it Resident Evil because it would sell. And I think that's what the downfall was. If they made it its own thing and they didn't need to put all the weird boulder punching bullshit in, it would have been fine.
What?
That's my take on it. It's not good. It still isn't good. I think I think it got more hatred than it deserved. Though I can see why. I really enjoyed Lance Reddick in it. I'm saddened to know that was one of the last few things he did before he passed, and it was something that wasn't well received. That saddens me. But yeah, I think if they just believed in it more and didn't lean on, okay, let's make it a Resi film or Resi program. If they'd just done it and did a zombie film that was inspired by, I think it would have been much better.
Did they mention Umbrella? Like, is Umbrella in it? Or...
Yes, Umbrella's in it. Wesker's in it. Ada Wong is in it. Well, she's mentioned in it. It is like a reimagining because they're in Raccoon City,
right,
and everything. Well, their own. Is it a Raccoon City? This is the one evening, and yeah, I'm trying to remember it all now, so I might be wrong. But so the premise is that it's a drugs company, and they're making a drug called Joy, and basically, it can do this sort of shit to you, and it's sort of but they've got bioweapons in there and stuff that at the end which we see but we won't get to see anything of so it's like this ground zero thing, but I think it worked really well, and I liked the different angle from it.
Right.
I think the more I talk about it, the more I realise I don't remember as much about it because it is forgettable. And I'm not going to watch it again because it wasn't worth it. But I think it was better than people talked about, but it could have been much better if they believed in it. And I don't think they believed in it. That's my issue.
That's fair. I can't see myself watching it. But speaking of believing in it, I think that about wraps up our episode. So please believe in our episode, and I don't even know what I'm trying to say there.
But that's what we'll go with. That is how we're going to leave it. So thank you everybody for believing in us, and for those of you who didn't believe in us, leave a comment of why you don't believe in us, and we might do something about it. I don't know.
Yeah, but on that note, thank you very much for listening. See you later.
Bye.